Hello and welcome to the news. We're still here. We're still kicking, and we've got an exciting special guest. He's backstage right now. His name's Jay. That's what we'll be calling him, anyways. And he's come to speak. So we'll see how that goes. But first, what's up, nudes? LFGGG indeed.
What's up, nudes?
Party time. Heck yeah. Let's see.
That's a new sound.
I don't know. It's on the board. Good chant to get started with. We may be joined by Summer Horsegrave at some point here, but baby Epsilon Starfire is keeping her busy at the moment. So, Tyler, what makes you let your hair down today? You let your hair down?
I didn't really have a plan.
Usually you come in here and
I mean, mainly because it was like wet today. Like I washed it. Can't wash long hair every day.
How often?
I'm like slowly learning things about having long hair, over the past 4 years. But yeah, sometimes it's wet and you just gotta let it hang,
It's looking glorious. What's the wash schedule? How often are you getting in there and cleaning it?
Maybe like every third shower. So, and I shower every day, so probably every 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta.
Seems fair.
Yeah.
No.
It's a whole process. It's a process. Yeah.
How many conditioner bouts do you do? Just one?
Oh yeah, just one and one.
One and done.
Yeah,
one and done.
We have G Strong Walker. And
Jspeak was on Cardano over coffee this morning. I heard that.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that was apparently people really liked it. I wasn't able to join.
Yeah, I was sitting. Getting my Cardano
here. What's up, OG Sean saying hey, good to have you. Yeah, we're still kicking it here in the newsroom. Things have been slow since NFT XLV, which is happening again. If you were wondering, yes, it is happening this year. I recently was told when. I think it's like mid-September.
Nice. Are you still?
Yes, I will be joining the team, continuing to work with the XLV team as a media director, which is pretty fun. Last year, I joined pretty close to the con, which it was a whirlwind. I feel like I wasn't really able to do what I needed to do. So this year, I'm getting started in January. So we'll have plenty of time to build up some connections and to get the word out more and more. And from what I understand, it's going to be in the Westgate proper this year because some other con booked the whole convention center. It's some giant truck or tractor thing. So that's blocked off. We'll be doing it in the Westgate, one of those giant rooms. It's still going to be giant. And we got an outdoor area as well. So it's going to be pretty cool. There'll be like live music out there and stuff and some food.
Be closer to the bars too, which would be nice.
It is, yeah, and we don't ever have to go outside now, period. So I don't know.
Perfect. Like that. Exactly how I like it.
What's up, fairies? Popping in to say, hey, Mr. Speak's the party animal. Apparently, I've been hearing that he's an absolute party animal. Family time. What's up, Jenny?
Hey, Jenny.
Oh, yeah. And Rare Evo will also be in Vegas this year because they're trying to jump on the the hype train, the Vegas hype train, I guess.
Damn, we should
it's gonna be a 1-2 punch.
We should get an Airbnb for a month and just hit.
We should just stay there. Yeah. That'd be fun. So if anyone plans to go to Rare Evo or NFT XLV this year, drop it in chat. Let us know what you're going to be doing. We'll be at XLV definitely. Rare Evo, probably not. Almost definitely not. In fact, because it's so close. August, September, I can't do that back-to-back months. But see, 5 weeks difference. It's too close, but also not close enough.
Yeah.
So doesn't quite line up. NFT XLV for life until they change the name again. And then it'll be whatever that is for life. OG says, hopefully he'll be at XLV this year. Well, it was great seeing you last year and the year before. So glad. Oh, here we go. Alyssa, a.k.a. Summer Horsegrave, popping in to say, this baby won't let her go. He did have some vaccines for his 1-year checkup, and he's not feeling it today. He's a little sluggish. That's fair. All right. Well, I think we should bring out our special guest for a little bit of nonsense. Let's do this thing, huh? I got a nonsense button to press. And can I get a gesture, Maestro? Hey, Jay.
Something's happening.
Jay Nonsense speaks here, ready to go.
Jay speaks nonsense. That's what I heard.
Yeah, on reverse deck.
All right. Well, we're going to jump right into the nonsense because, it's nonsense now, not nonsense later. So these were prepared specifically for you by Alyssa, a.k.a. Summer.
Okay.
And I don't know. I'm not sure if she knew something about your life or your secrets, but here's the first one. Would you rather be on death row for a crime you didn't commit, and the most important person in your life is free, but they committed the crime? So basically, you go to death row in place of the most important person in your life, or be free, but the most important person in your life is on death row for a crime you committed. Do you want to take the fall for them, or do you want them to take the fall for you, basically?
Well, you put me in an impossible position there, Scott Chestnut. So I think any reasonable person would probably answer with something like the most important person in their life is already dead. So I wouldn't have to go because they're already dead. So I'll let them take the fall because they already died.
That's a heavy reality to be living, but it does get you out of this would you rather question. So maybe there's some upsides to that.
You take the good with the bad.
All right. Well, here's another one. Would you rather know how you're going to die or when you're going to die? A lot of death questions today.
Yeah. I mean, the name Alyssa's, pseudonym, I think the grave is in there, so it makes
true.
Let me okay, so let me throw this one. How I'm gonna die or when?
Yeah.
That's so interesting because both are interesting, right? Like, wouldn't you almost want either one would be kind of fun? I would say the how. I wouldn't want to know when because I like surprises, and I think the how would at least allow me to prepare everything in advance, in a cool way.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, cinder block.
It's a car accident, then
yes.
No telling.
I can say, hey guys, I got hit by a car accident, and I can do that today when I.
Oh, so you'd record a video for it? You'd be like, "Yo, what's up, Jspeak? Just got killed in a car wreck."
I might make a playlist, but it would all be around, hey, when that car accident comes for me, I just want you to know to drive safe because you might kill the next JP or something. I might throw something at people.
All right. So
that is a tough one.
Departing from nonsense, but I want to ask you, how do you want to die?
Oh, man. That's kind of like, can you have your cake and eat it too? I don't know. It's sort of one of those things where I'm not really, I don't really fear death. I think that death is actually the final boss in life. And I think in a video game, you have the final boss, right? So I think death is the final challenge. And I think if you approach it like that, then to beat the game, you have to have some acceptance of death and know it's always around the corner and be grateful for the life that we breathe in this moment. And I kind of look at it like that. So it could be around the corner, Scott Chestnut. It could be maybe you and me are eating something at the next LV, and then boom, you have a fork in your hand and you slip, and then, oh no, you got Jspeak by mistake. And I might just go that way. And as long as I'm accepting of that, I think it'll be fine. I won't haunt you
Okay, well, that's good to know. I'll remember that at the next XLV. Just to have a fork
just
around.
for the record, we
Whenever
have
you're here, I'll
fork,
just
yeah,
kind of be
fork
scratching
is,
my head with it, and I'll be losing my balance just a little bit, just to keep you on your toes.
I might stay a couple extra feet away. Then just since we've got
You might not realize who I am. You remember what happened last time?
I mean, can I explain that? So last time I didn't know who Scott Chestnut was when he's not wearing hair.
And yeah, that seems to be a common occurrence this
Or a
year.
suit.
I was like, who is this guy? And it turned out to be Scott Chestnut when he wasn't wearing his hair.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
I think the funniest one that we should mention on that topic was one of the security guards saw Trevor walking out without his hair, and they came up to him and like, hey, do you have like a twin brother or a brother or something?
Or something.
The same guy.
We were on the same crew. They didn't realize
I thought it was a whole different universe of a man. I didn't even get that similarity from the face. I think it would have been funny if you just kind of walked up to somebody because it looks so real and just kind of be like, hey, can you hold this for a second? And then just, and then give it a walk away and have somebody like.
We're going to be exploring it in the coming years. So maybe we can do some punking with people. I'll give it to Charles next time I see him.
Well, what if you do this? Yeah, you can do it to somebody, and then I'll walk up and be like, hey, there's this guy that told me that he wants his hair, and I take it, but then you come back a minute after I leave, and you're like, hey, where's my hair?
Charles would not know what to do.
He'd be like, but that guy said, and then you'll be like, where's my hair? Come on, Charles, where's my hair?
I need my hair.
Yeah. I just want to see a picture of Charles awkwardly standing in the middle of XLV, just holding a wig.
That's my goal for next year. It's good to have goals, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right. Another nonsense or two here. Would you rather fight Mike Tyson once or talk like Mike Tyson for the rest of your life?
Oh, I'd have to go fight him once. I mean, he's an absolute legend. If I went out like that, that would be a legendary move.
How you die. Okay, now we're figuring it all coming together.
I mean, there's only a handful of people that died from the hands of Mike Tyson that we know of. And I think being on that list is a short list. So it would be somewhat of an honor to some degree. And that's not saying that it wouldn't be fun to talk like Mike Tyson in different stages of his career. I don't know if you mean currently or even a year ago. But either way, it's sort of like there are ranges to this kind of thing. And either of those answers seems kind of interesting to me.
It'll be interesting, no doubt. All right, one more. We've got a lot, but this is it. This was another exciting one. So would you rather have the ability to stop time and move freely in the stop time, and you can bring people into stop time with physical contact, or have the ability to heal all wounds and diseases, anyone within 100-foot radius, including yourself?
Oh, I would love to be a healer. I would love to just heal the things that I break sometimes. So like if I broke something on my desk, it would be great to be in that 100 radius and just have it not break. Some cups I really like.
And diseases. So I got to cut you off there. No inanimate objects.
It would be a wound to a cup if it got lacerated from me.
We call it. I wounded my cup.
I think there's some semantical arguments that I would make to the Lord of this power, and I would say to them, "Listen,
the arbiter right here. It's got to be biological."
But that wasn't. So this is an addendum.
She wrote it, and it's all. She's in charge.
I will answer the addendum, Scott Chestnut, and I will say I would still stick with my answer. Because I think healing is something as nonsensical content creators like we are, we actually already kind of do unintentionally. I think laughter is the best medicine, they say. It's scientifically proven on multiple places. And I would just say because it's there multiple times in multiple places, it's true. And by making people laugh, we're already kind of healing people. And I think that's the greatest gift in the world. So I would stick with an additional healing ability for biological things. That would be pretty awesome, in my opinion.
That's fun. Yeah, it's true. So do you, do you play a healer in any games? Do you have a class that you prefer if you end up in a game with classes?
You know, it's funny, Scott, just because the one MMO that was big when I was growing up was World of Warcraft, and I always wanted to be a hunter or a mage, and I think I never became the mage because let's just say someone that was very close to me and a bit older just wouldn't let me. And I became the hunter instead, and I was a support role. But I liked being the hunter because you got to, tame some kind of wild beast, and you got to kind of teach it things. And that was kind of a cool, I guess, pal to have in the digital realms, is to have like a pet. As the healers would tell you, though, is if you're a healer, then you're kind of in the game for social reasons, because we all know everybody needs the healer, so they're obviously gonna have to get you onto their party. Yep. But I'm kind of more of a solo type of lone wolf character, so I'm not really looking for that on a social group or validation just by being a healer in the game. Real life would be sick, but in the game, I think a lot of people pull that move just so they can make friends.
So you would play an MMO to not interact with other people. You play a massively multiplayer game so that you could be off on your own.
Well, I wouldn't. I did do that. That's correct. It's just like real life.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually going to say, it seems like in real life you would choose the healer, but in the video game you might choose to stop time because it would be more beneficial to a solo player where you can pause the war and then
I just think it's an in for a healer to join a party, whereas in a hunter and if you're a lone wolf, you kind of organically do it when you need to. So it's not like you're completely foregoing those social interactions. I just think the healer has if you know how World of Warcraft works, hey, we need a healer, everybody says it in the world chat. Oh, hey, I've been hanging out, just going with different parties because I'm a healer and I just want to chill and have some, sometimes they'll say it, I'm just drinking beer or doing some sort of hallucinogen and I'm just the healer. Let's have a good time. Let's talk. But I think if you're really trying to level up as a hunter, you're not really in it for just the social gimmicks.
So I pegged you as maybe a night elf hunter or a Tauren, maybe.
You're closer with the Tauren because I don't believe in the good side of the Alliance.
I played Horde, yeah.
I think the Alliance is a big scam. I've said it for years. I will continue to say it for multiple years. I think they're a big front and they're doing all sorts of dirty stuff behind the scenes. I think the Horde is the true good guys in that entire world.
So what'd you do? A troll? Come on, give me the goods.
Well, it's an orc. And it was called...
Orc, really?
Yeah, do you want to know the name? It was I took one of I think it was, the guy's name was it was either Thrall or somebody else that's the chief.
Thrall.
And I said Thrall 2. So a bunch of people were pissed off at me.
I bet. That's pretty good. I was undead only.
Oh, nice. No, I like the undeads too. I had an undead mage, I think, at one point.
That was my first. Yeah, undead mage.
Those are the coolest. I feel because they're horse. They got this. If you've ever seen this game, the dead horse, and it's got the mages have all sorts of colors and lights and energy flying off of them and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, I saw that ship picture that you have, so I had to get mine. Wanted to feel like we could be ship buddies together. I don't know if I can hang this. Probably not. I'll just set it in this chair here.
Oh, Cardano got to the moon, and it's actually overshadowing it.
Yeah. This is the Armada Alliance. Is painted by Q. It's I got this at the first CNFT con. It's a NFT. It's a little chip in there. Pretty cool.
You know what? I love pirates. I love the ocean. I love the actual color of that sort of sky. That's one of my favorite parts of the time of the day. Is when you see a sky that looks like that. That's my favorite time of the day, almost.
Nice.
We're kind of
getting. Is that dawn or dusk?
It can be on both ends of the spectrum.
True.
Very
but
true.
It's still a little bit eerie, and you don't really know what's going on. But you're starting to either find out, or you're going to find out less.
Yeah, it's like the transition the mystery of the transition.
All silhouetted. Yeah, it's nice.
It's almost paranormal.
Now, what's the story with your ship back there?
So this was basically like one of I was actually going to say something pretty odd. This is like many projects in crypto, and it just it kind of was sort of built with a lot of maybe liquidity, but then the ship sort of sank because something weird happened. And it's sort of just a little bit of a, hey guys, be careful out there. So
that is a sinking ship there.
Yeah, and it's a reminder of death.
It's coming up a lot on this episode.
On another reminder of death. Kind of ironic. We both have.
I mean, without death though, I think death is actually beautiful from the standpoint of it helps the world change. And it helps things forward, and it helps the old kind of, let's say, bottlenecks disappear slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think often, I don't know why, but it comes up in my brain. Back in the old days, billions of years ago, when we had trees, but we didn't have anything that could break the trees down, anything that would eat them when they fell over. So the trees would grow, they would fall over, and then they would just stay there forever. But more trees would continue to grow. And you need that kind of circulation. Well, that's where all the coal deposits come from. The trees were all stacked up, and then they got buried. And then, billions of years later or whatever, they turn into coal. But without that part of the process, you can't really die unless you're also being reborn, or you just kind of lie around, right? There's a cycle of life. It needs to happen.
Do you ever worry about like if we get so good at medicine that like people don't die, if society will kind of be more linear and there won't be as much change because like the old people will just continue to get older and always be the wise ones, and then whoever's born after will be like just lower on the food chain because they have less experience and maybe less time to gather resources and wealth? Do you ever worry about that?
That's the plot of Altered Carbon, I think.
Also,
really?
Not really, but
it's kind of where the future is going, I feel like.
The rich people, well, it's where you die, but you get put in a new body, basically. You have sleeves. I don't know if you've seen this. It's pretty cool. It's
yeah,
like,
no,
you probably like this show. You should check this out.
I'm not even commenting on whether I would like it or not, but I'm thinking of a different one where we don't put the youth. So they're using the youth and they're just using them as kind of like costumes in that one.
Kind of. I mean, you get a new body. It's a totally new body. You live in like a little, thing about this size, and it sticks in the back of the neck of the new body, and it's you. And as long as this isn't destroyed, you're still alive, even if the head gets blown off or you get cut in half.
Is that you though, or is that like a really advanced AI version of who you are?
I don't know, man. That's a lot of questions there.
It's got real nonsensical.
It's a really long nonsense segment. We need to go to the special guest segment, or Mr. Pistachio is going to get really upset. He doesn't like changes to format stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to go to special guests. We'll bring out our first special guest and only special guest, Jay Speaks. So here we go. Welcome. Yeah, the people love it. We're so glad to have you, and so are we.
Thanks wow. Can I look at the chat, or is that... Oh, wow. There's a lot of chat going on. So shout out to all the Cardano over coffee people from earlier that a couple of them said that they would stop by. They did. Thank you. And love to see it. And then shout out to Tyler and Scott Chestnut in the house. And thank you. I'm humbled to be here. This is awesome. And I definitely love to reciprocate and have you on the Jspeak Late Night Show one of these days.
Great.
Definitely. Yeah, we'd love to.
Heck yeah. Yeah, well, welcome to the show. We'd love to hear about what's going on in your world.
Okay. So I live in the same world as you guys, but what I've been kind of focusing on in mine is interesting because I think lately it's sort of what I've been saying for the last year is two things. The first thing is that there's three major technologies that will be the most important to look at over the next 10, 16 years. And that is AI, immersive tech, and blockchain. So that's my core thesis. And then there's this other thing that's more core to, I think, blockchain than any of the others, but the others it still applies to, just maybe lightlier. And that would be that I just invented words. And it would just be like, we're in the age of infrastructure still with blockchain. So when it comes to entrepreneurs, I think about there's going to be a lot, like a bit of maturing with the blockchain space and tech, and there needs to be more tooling, and there are people building tooling, and there's people building tooling to build tooling. If that is thought about enough, people will digest it and consume it, and it'll become part of their consciousness and whatnot. And it's kind of just eventually, I think there will be much more opportunities for entrepreneurs to easily know what to do with this tech and create businesses off of. And I'll give you an example that a hockey coach used to tell me. Why it can be like difficult maybe when you're an entrepreneur to work with, let's say, immature infrastructure in a nascent technological space is because of this phrase, which is you cannot make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And it's kind of like if you have quality ingredients, then you can make the chicken salad. But if you're starting from scratch, you don't have the infrastructure yet, that should be the first focus. And it is. And a lot of builders are working on that. And even some projects who have been funded, if we've looked at the space, that funding has actually gone into building stuff to make their product. So why I'm saying this is because it's similar. I remain sanguine, optimistic, hopeful about this space, and I'm still following it vigorously. But I think we're still in the age of infrastructure, and I want to be here for the age of infrastructure and then beyond. So that's my overarching plan. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I am exploring other blockchains. I am doing some backtracking, make sure that I have some historical data correct and internalized it with some of the things that preceded Cardano. And then kind of staying on top of some of these other things like immersive tech and AI. That's kind of what I would answer to your question. What's going on in my world?
Yeah. So immersive tech, just to clarify, are you talking augmented reality, virtual reality kind of stuff, or what do you mean?
So I call it the metaverse, but there's a big argument right now, Scott and Tyler. There's a lot of people that have different definitions for the metaverse. They say it's this, they say it's that, and I call it immersive tech because whether it's immersively going into an MMO and having some kind of experience, that's fine. But I think that can also be under this umbrella of immersive tech, and next gen immersive tech could be AR, XR, and VR. And those things are very interesting to me. And really what you want to draw lines to is when you take a look at AI with all the different plugins that are about to be made, whether it's AI MPC plugins, right? With projects like InWorld is developing some cool stuff there, whether it's, some of these different models and Eureka, where you're seeing AI design better rewards incentive algorithms than humans can, and all that stuff. You want to draw a line to, okay, well, wait a second. AI can correlate to immersive tech because now we could have an MMO with AI NPCs. Oh, and they can give out automatically generated quests. Oh, wait, that's a new thing. We've never seen that before. That's next gen. That's Web3. And you tie blockchain to that. You can, be like, well, maybe I can own that AI NPC if I, beat the quest, or maybe I can, it can become part of my army of AI NPCs, or like, there's just different things that are possible now when you combine these technologies and see how they could work together. And it's not just gaming; it's in all products essentially. humble. I could be wrong. I should have read my bio.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
I don't think you could be wrong.
Yeah, I really like how you phrase it as immersive tech too, because that really does like umbrella all the different things like people are going after with these projects and tools that people are building. I might steal that.
No, please do. I've been trying to spread it. But whenever I try to spread it, I think people think that I'm trying to, like, I don't know, do something to them. But yeah, no, please spread it. That would be great. I think it's just more, it's more friendly too, because you have so much more than what people think of when you say the metaverse. And even though in my heart of hearts, I still believe immersive tech is what I basically mean when I say the metaverse. It's like sometimes words do matter, and sometimes they do build walls instead of bridges. So
people are trying to build walls around the metaverse, even just as a brand, which is going to change perception. I mean, Facebook is now Meta, please, but it is, and that's going to affect that word going forward. So I like the idea of something more inclusive, like immersive tech, because you're not going to be able to brand that. That's just a type of thing, rather than a thing.
It's adjective and a noun, and I think that's how we should kind of, if we combine those, because the metaverse is like, it could be considered like a place. So can a company be a place? Well, maybe you could make that argument, but if you're just describing a place as something, maybe it's harder to brand it. I don't know. It's interesting that you said that. Now I'm going to be thinking about that.
Yeah. So what is it in, I don't know, maybe in each of these categories that is most interesting to you, those three?
Yeah. So
even just conceptually.
Okay. There's a lot of genres that I think can properly leverage blockchain. And it's tough to talk about any of these three pillars of my thesis, right? Blockchain, AI, immersive tech, without talking about each three while we're saying what's most exciting. And that's okay. But I think with blockchain, what I'm really excited for is this concept that was elegantly described by Adam, who's I don't know his last name off top, but he's the CMO of another L1 called Radix. And he explained a very interesting outcome of like a unified, infinitely scalable, I guess, like playground for monetary energy. And leveraging blockchain, kind of is the way to create that. And I think that is the true like L1 convo with smart contracts of blockchain. It's like, well, wait a second. We can have a lot of our processes that we do financially in a more like accessible place to everyone around the globe. So I'm still waiting to see what the L1 kind of, I'm not like set minded. I'm pretty open minded. So I'm still kind of waiting to see when that happens, because I think if everybody is transacting on this one place in our entire planet, then that's like a huge accomplishment for humans, bro. Like, I still feel like if we can get to that thing of like, hey, we have this one platform that we're all, doing our financial stuff in, and we're all kind of humans, and we're all just like, it's kind of got decent, I guess, governance. Like, there's a lot of so my point is, though that's the most exciting thing to me still, it's going to take time. And I'm not sure if we're really there yet to say what is going to be that. And I honestly think that personally. So I could be, late to the game. Maybe people have, they know already. But I'm still kind of like, well, it feels like the tech is still maturing. And there's a lot that can happen. So that's the blockchain. AI, again.
Well, actually, to cut you off quick, just maybe to clarify, do you mean when you say like one system, do you see that as like one, not to get into like a maxi, but like one chain being that system, or do you see it like as blockchain being that one system, if that makes sense?
Yeah, this is new stuff material for me. So I will tell you what I've been trying to internalize it as. It's like there's gonna be other blockchains that are smart contract platforms, but I think they're gonna bridge to one infinitely linear, scalable place. And then that one place, there's kind of a competition of who's gonna be that one place. And I just think that that's where all the potential is, because when you silo things into different, and we've seen this with EVM, like they have a bunch of L2s that have special use cases, but they like the L2s that have a special use case, you won't find that same use case on any other L2, and there's a bunch of them, but they're not very like safe to transact money from one L2 to another because you have to bridge and wrap assets. So if we could instead just have one, infinitely scalable place where we could build atomic composable dApps, which is really the thing I'm most excited for, especially for Cardano and a couple other blockchains, is just more atomic composability. When dApps are really leveraging each other in the same transaction, I think that's where the magic is with a lot of the ecosystem. And it does require collaboration. It does require working with others. But I think when we can combine some of these processes together in the same transaction, either it works or it doesn't, it's deterministic in that regard, then we will see some serious magic. And I'm talking like Dumbledore level, like you got to kind of gear up a bit. And when that, because there's going to be things that blow us away when we see more atomic composability. And in Cardano especially. And it's coming. Like it's going to be interesting.
It kind of reminds me of like, or makes me think of like email, how like, I mean, one, what email has done to like communication for humans, but also like how we have like one central email protocol that like runs everything, but you have all these like satellite things that are working off that protocol. If that, I don't know if that aligns.
No, yeah, I'll riff a bit because I think that you're onto something interesting there. It's kind of like, well, if you had a plugin store and you have Shopify, and now your Shopify that you make an e-com store can do a lot of extra things because of those plugins. Mm-hmm. And like you can just compose those things into that Shopify store. I think the comment that you made is on the first point of like one, kind of unified playground for monetary energy. But on the second point, that Shopify example is more what I think of when I think of blockchain and atomic composability of dApps. Because I think right now we're creating dApps. We maybe are waiting for those dApps to build just like more and more stuff. Sometimes I think there's like a huge competition. Whereas if there was more of a atomic composable culture, then I think there would be a lot more of like, hey, I have this component, you're building that component, and now let's like integrate, make them work together, and then more people will build blocks of these components, and you can make some very sophisticated things happen. And there needs to be a lot of standards for that to work. And that's why it maybe takes a little bit more time on something like Cardano. But it's like we haven't really seen that elsewhere. There's a couple other things that I'm starting to see that, and it's cool what can be done.
No, definitely. That is it's really interesting to think about like how like everything coming together like that.
Yeah. Because then you can think about a game, a blockchain game, and like how many processes or dApps that we've built could actually be part of a quest, part of a game, part of a little side quest, part of a little something.
Lots of possibilities there. Do you feel that would require a level of open source development or just some sort of, protocol or something that everyone agrees to use that allows these dApps to interact with each other while still keeping them kind of secret, the inner workings?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would bet on open source all day, because I think open source will just, okay, for example, there's Axo, which is not open source. Now they've got an amazing thing going, right? A lot of people are very excited. And transaction chaining is something now that other builders in the ecosystem are kind of like looking at, figuring out how to do. And I think eventually when you're closed sourcing, you're kind of like maybe have something special, but I don't know, man, because I think long term that open source will catch up. When it comes to atomic composability, what I've seen in Radix, which is another blockchain that I've been covering, is it's sort of more of an integration of like, hey, let's integrate my dApp with yours, and then we'll have atomic composability, because when they want to do something with my dApp, but they also need a process from yours, it'll just kind of happen. And those two components will show up when you sign the transaction as like, hey, you're using this component and that component. So, you know, I think it is a little bit more handshake agreement there, but I think a lot of the things that I've seen that are atomic composable are open source. I haven't thought about if it's exclusive to open source for things to be atomically composable. I would assume so, but I want to be careful there because I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'm all for open source. Allows, especially in a blockchain situation, because you can trust what's in there. It's not going to steal or screw with your assets, you know, if it's able to be reviewed by anybody.
It has a higher degree of transparency.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because like there's audits that closed source things can do. And then there's also the risk of like, if something's open source, can somebody still figure out how to, and the answer is probably hypothetically sure. Yeah. But it has a much higher degree of whatchamacallit, the word I said. Transparency.
Yeah, I agree. All right, cool. That's good. That's blockchain. Let's look at these other pillars. What concepts are really getting you going within AI, within this? Well, let's go with AI start.
There's a lot of stuff I'm excited as a content creator, as I'm sure you guys are too. And I think eventually what I really want is to be like Tony Stark. And I just want to like configure things with my voice and like have it work and like have it all be coded for me, or like make a movie with my voice and just like have it all kind of there and stuff, and say, I just want like the level of like, hey, I just recorded this video with Scott Chestnut. It's in my download folder. Just go upload it to YouTube and make some sort of title for me and make some sort of description for me.
Get a good thumbnail.
Give it a thumbnail. And then it's good. And by the way, schedule it for like 5 a.m. in the morning. So that way, you know, I can make all my videos at 5 a.m. And then it's done. So, but realistically, the coolest thing I've seen, some of this image generation and then image enhancement, which I've been covering recently. And then that's evolving now into video enhancement, video generation. And I think I heard from Paul Manuel, who worked at Unity, and he worked at, so he worked on a couple of big games like Apex Legends. He said about 4 months ago, I want to say, that 3D geometry would take about another maybe 12 to 18 months to be solid. So when we can 3D model stuff with a prompt and have it compatible with these game engines, I mean, I think that will be such a big fire for things like immersive environments, for things like VR, for things like even just some of the metaverse virtual worlds creators to do. And then we can, you know, like I think that 3D geometry with AI is the next like wowzer of like an AI evolution.
Well, I want to see it, you know, able to start out rigged, you know, with a skeleton and maybe even some animation.
They are getting close. I've seen some AI. I mean, it's probably super primitive. But like I've seen some stuff where you can like feed in like 2D images, and then the AI will create the model's probably trash, but like it'll give you a 3D model.
No, and there's little bits of like, oh, its shoulder might look a little funky. And that 12 to 18 months quote was because like AI improves AI, and every single month of data, it's going to show 3 months down the road. like every month. Like it's evolving so quickly. So though it's going to be primitive, probably if that was 4 months ago, then probably for like another 10 months, we're going to see some cooler and cooler stuff that looks maybe still primitive. But then when we want production ready, we're talking like, you know, another maybe 8 to 16, like 8 to 14 months from some predictions that I've heard from people. And I think that's cool because that's not too long for some really amazing stuff.
All right. Start thinking of what you want to do with it now. Get a game plan and be ready to jump on it when it's ready. Yeah. That's exciting stuff.
It is it's scary to think about. I mean, especially with the 3D stuff. I do 3D. So it probably just has my brain going. But do you guys ever, because I know, Scott, you are really into the AI too. Do you guys ever think of like how it may play out over time, either like legally with like rights to what's being created, or I guess any consequences of AI being used in like legal or like any other consequences?
Lots.
Yeah, so I think that's an incredible thing that everybody should be thinking of, because we haven't seen the big battle yet. The big battle will come when I think organization like OpenAI gets into a major historical lawsuit on something. And then I think regulation will start to come. And then when it comes for image generation or even just prompt, like to you know, chat, like we've seen with ChatGPT, I think those will define some of the basic guidelines moving forward for commercial use. So I'm waiting to see somebody get in trouble first. And then from that trouble, it doesn't mean that organization is screwed. It's just like all the other people who've been using these major tools will be seeing, like, they'll be not the first people to get, I think, targeted. I think you have to go after what the infrastructure is, and can they even do anything about it? And that's where the regular
that's another interesting question. Yeah,
if they can even do anything about it, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Much less all the societal consequences from not knowing what's real anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, the image enhancement stuff is interesting for that reason. Because if you saw that viral image enhancement post and you can enhance yourself as a YouTuber, then personality matters a lot more than looks these days, because everybody's going to enhance themselves. So I always tell people that maybe resting on their laurels from their good looks, hey, work on that personality, because good looks are going to be a commodity, especially in the virtual digital world. So definitely work on that personality. That's what I like to say.
That's really interesting. I've never thought of that. Like this, similar to like how people might use like a face filter today. Someone might use like a personality filter in the future. So like a video that they record, run it through an AI, and then you get like.
Yeah, I had really thought of that. That's pretty interesting too.
I mean, when you start saying work on your personality, I'm like, work on training a personality that you want to put out there. In AI to do that personality.
Yeah, they're gonna be able to pimp my monotone. That could be a show, because you could be a monotone guy, run a little personality AI, and all of a sudden you sound as charismatic as the most charismatic person under the sun.
And then you even take it a step further too. You have different videos out to different audiences of the same content, but your personality is like one way for the crypto people, another way for whatever gamers,
serious people. You can have like serious people filter, just so that way you can be serious with the serious people. They can be a little nonsensical, like we are today, for the nonsensical folks. My favorite of the folks, to be honest. And you can kind of slice and dice.
It's gonna be a crazy, crazy world, man. We should enjoy this while we can, knowing that we're all real. Right here, right now, because we won't be able to know that, and I don't know how many years it's going to be, but it's not that many.
Yeah, no, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be a little bit of chaos. So embrace that chaos and find some kind of thing to hold on to, because the ride's going to get bumpy.
It's going to be crazy. All right, well, let's talk about immersive tech. What's catching your imagination there?
You know, I saw a really interesting article recently about XR streaming, and I thought that was the first time with Immersive Tech recently that I was like, whoa, this could be an Instagram moment. And what I mean by that is photographers that were really good at photography blew up when Instagram first came out. And they were able to share stuff about what they do. And then you saw the personal brand phase where all of a sudden people that could cook really well, or people that were, you know, specialists at some kind of thing, could use Instagram to create a personal brand on top of it. And, you know, had a million different ways to monetize, from merch to some other thing, to having some club meetup, to having some event. So what I think is the next big one is going to be, or not the next big one, but one big one that I finally have like the confidence or comfort to articulate is like XR streaming. And I think it would work like this. Let's say a really great cook is XR streaming themselves cooking. Well, with XR, you can essentially, you know, cut out your kitchen, or you don't even have to. Let's just say you have an AR version of them cooking alongside you while you cook. And you just basically, they're streaming that in real time and you're cooking with them, and they do it like every Wednesday at 6 p.m. And, you know, I think that kind of thing is the next interface. Maybe there's some sort of like widespread kung fu master that will just be XR streaming himself to like thousands of students at some point. And we're all looking at the same kung fu master in our room, but they're like miles away in a Tibetan temple. And we're just kind of there with them, and we meet up, and they don't even need to ask us for money, because they're gonna have like thousands of people watching them at one single point. And I think that could be very similar to what we saw with like people that had specific skill sets. It's just more immersive, hence immersive tech, than something like Instagram or video, because they're there with it.
So you're thinking people will have to wear special glasses all the time, or will this just be straight contact lenses? Or
at this point,
what do you think?
Honestly,
I've pitched this, but someone told me I was crazy. Eventually, I think it'll just kind of be there, man. Like, I just think it'll be in the ether or something, and it'll just like 60 years from now, we won't have any kind of hardware. I don't know if that requires a chip in our brain or some kind of 7G, but I'll tell you this: it's like we're getting there with like, you know, some interesting tech to create holographic stuff. But in the short term and more practical, you know, I think it will definitely be in a few iterations. Probably the Quest Pro is going to surprise people with their XR, because you can already like change your environment but cut out your desk so you don't hit it. And that's like mixed reality. So you're not like completely immersed, but you have some kind of sense of what's going on. And then, you know, I think the reverse of that would be something like XR streaming. And that could be very practical for people, because if you could stream in as a doctor to all these different, you know, up and coming doctors, or if you're a specialist doctor and you could kind of stream in somewhere, and you could kind of like go to some doctor across the world who's just learning the craft and they need an expert opinion. They stream in, they can see it. Okay, cool. There's the table, there's everything. It's all streamed. And then like vice versa, they can see the doctor and receive instructions in real time. That doctor can actually talk to a lot more doctors instead of just like having to travel there and be there. Or like there's things like that that are interesting. So it's new. So like the use case is always the sexiest thing to talk about, but XR streaming, I think we're going to hear more about.
Very interesting stuff.
Yes. Super interesting.
What about putting it all together?
Yeah.
What does that look like in your doctor example? I want to hear blockchain, AI, and I keep forgetting the term. What is it? Immersive Tech. That's right.
Well, the AI is easy because you would have the doctor somehow training some AI from what he does, right? So the blockchain piece there, I would have to almost request help from the chat.
They're paying on the blockchain for the service, I guess.
Well, you know, it's interesting because
the medical record is saved to the blockchain. I don't know.
You can have them verified as a doctor through the blockchain.
Oh, you can, it's a real doctor. Well, it's a real AI doctor.
There it is. Yeah, there it is.
The training data is verified.
Well, yeah, and digital identity when you stream could be more valuable because you would be certain that it's the person, and you'd be certain that it's the person that has the, like, if you want to talk to Kevin Hart and there's like a fake Kevin Hart, and there's some like, you want to be sure that it's him if you're going to talk to him, and then it will be a cool experience if you like Kevin Hart, because it's like, oh wow, I met him, I talked to him in VR or XR. And I actually did, and I can tell my ancestors about it when I die. And it's kind of just like, if they're not real, then yeah. So, and obviously with healthcare, it's very, very important.
That's kind of an interesting point. On that specifically, I don't know. After NFT XLV, the Reflex booth, they sent out like a survey for like about how they did and stuff, and one of the questions was, would you be interested in having AI versions of celebrities? I forget how the question was worded, but that's essentially what they were talking about, like having like AI versions of like notable people that you could like talk to. Again, I don't know what the reason was, to be honest, but
that's also, yeah, well, that's interesting if you can do whatever you want with them. I mean, you could have Chris Rock and Will Smith reenact something. You could have have all sorts, and that's content. So if you could monetize it, but I don't think that's like what they're gonna want, because celebrities wouldn't almost want that Creative Commons use all the time. I've seen some interesting stuff though. There was Grimes who did she kind of picked up on this AI thing and got ahead of it. And she made, I think, a 50-50 deal and let people use an AI that was trained on her voice. So it sounds exactly like Grimes. And she basically was like, hey, if you make something with my voice, we'll split all the royalties 50-50. And that's how we'll just do it from here on in. And then people were using it, and she was like, this is better than I probably could have done by myself. So I think she got kind of ahead of it. So, it depends on, I guess, the celebrity's ego and how willing they are to just let people create. Because sometimes people will create some really stuff that might be embarrassing. And then they might create some stuff that makes you look good. So it's kind of that whole thing around, do I give NFTs IP rights? Some people that launch NFTs think. They're like, should I do it? Should I not do it? What if they do something that's cancels us? What if they do something that's great? And they're kind of in this weird middle place of I don't know.
Wild shit. We're going way over our normal time here.
It's a cool conversation.
I've not been watching the clock at all. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I guess one thing, talking about this doctor thing, it feels to me like by the time we have this virtual or, if it immersive tech that's good enough to really be around, by then the AI doctors will be better than the real doctors. So do we even need a real person involved at all at that point?
Well, do you trust them? Do you trust the AI?
What if it went to the right medical school? I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, how
fair enough.
I mean,
presumably there will be, studies and tests, and let's say our doctor is 99.9% effective or whatever, and they can prove it.
Well, someone told me recently that Terminator was the either the sequel of the Matrix or the before the Matrix. It all ties in. Have you guys heard this theory?
I haven't. That's interesting.
Yeah, somebody just recently was like, yeah, the Terminator was actually sent to kill Neo. And they were, I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense because Neo is part of the Matrix. He's a product of each iteration of the Matrix. I'm a big Matrix lore guy. That's
okay.
Doesn't make any sense.
Okay, cool. I'm just fact checking.
It's a fun idea.
I don't know. Yeah, no. Thanks for fact checking.
Specific part of that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the prequel, but not to go back and kill Neo. That doesn't make any damn sense. Neo was part of the system. He was part of the system of control. They put him in there on purpose. He was an emergent property of the Matrix that they figured out how to control through love. Yeah, and he would make the same decision to sacrifice Trinity, and it happened several times. The Neo that we saw was, I think, number 6 or 5 or 6.
What?
And he's the one who made a different decision for the first time ever.
I need to go watch the rest of them.
A lot. Makes it really interesting. It
is.
You never saw the third one?
I don't even know what you're talking about. You're saying there's 6 Neos?
Yeah. Well, there were several iterations of the Matrix. And basically it happens, and then eventually it becomes too unstable, and this one is produced through this instability. Basically, in order for the Matrix to be stable, they have to give everyone a choice, ostensibly, whether they want to be in the Matrix or not. And Neo is the manifestation of that choice as a person, instead of every single person actually getting to choose. Neo kind of chooses for them. It's kind of a Christ thing as well. There's a lot going on. I don't really want to get into all of it.
Sounded convincing, but I don't know. Maybe they were just kind of on something. And
I'd like to hear it. Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
Well, here's the thing, though, because I was gonna say about your AI comment. If you can trust that, like that AI that's doing all that surgery and stuff, I don't know. It's an interesting combo. Like, do humans like? The question is really when. Because to me, it's like, well, before humans phase out completely, I think we're going to need a huge track record. And I think we're also worried about what the future of AI past humans not doing surgery looks like. So I think it's going to be like 90 years, 40 years, somewhere around there, like before we're just not involved with like that.
It's going to take a little bit of time. Yeah. A lot of people have to die to,
for change.
The old guard's going to have to phase out,
Yeah, we went full circle. Back to the death.
Exactly. That's so true. Yeah.
Nonsense is sense.
It's so real. Yeah.
It does have some sense in the word.
All right. Well, we hit the hour mark, and that's about what we like to hit. So this was really good. It flew by.
Yeah, this was
great,
awesome.
Great chat.
Well, they say time grows wings when you're having some easy time, or you're with people that are making you joyful. That's what they say. And I will end this by saying we will do a Jspeak late night show at some point in the future, and we will have these guys on too, and we'll bring up some topics and some of the tech that we talked about tonight. I'll bring up some actual examples, because today I was just having fun riffing, but all the stuff that I was pointing to was like, you can actually find some of these things. Some of the thoughts were just, how to make it fun, but some of them we'll pull them up and we'll talk about and do a sequel.
100%. I love it.
Like the Terminator for the Matrix.
Yeah, that's what I hear. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. This has been wonderful. As always, a pleasure to speak. We spoke in person not too long ago, so looking forward to that as well.
Well, you called me in subcritical trash one time. You said that I got to pick up the trash at the Vegas, and we were humbled. We said that's Scott Chestnut coming up to us to interview us, and you have the interview. You posted on X. Do you remember that?
I don't remember calling you trash, but you
said I'm looking for trash to see.
Yeah, it's coming back.
You do.
Yes, yeah, a little jocular. All right, well, let's do our end of the stream sign off. Okay, we're gonna go around and do this thing. For the CNFT News, I'm Scott Chestnut.
I'm with Spaces.
Good night, San Diego.
That's right. We'll see you next time.